In a significant diplomatic move, Secretary of State Marco Rubio has landed in Saudi Arabia for crucial discussions aimed at addressing two major geopolitical crises: the ongoing war in Ukraine and the urgent need for a ceasefire in Gaza. This trip follows a series of high-level communications between U.S. President Donald Trump and key international leaders, including Russian President Vladimir Putin and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, indicating a potential shift in the U.S. approach to these conflicts. Rubio's visit comes on the heels of Trump's assertion that he had a lengthy and highly productive phone call with Putin, during which the Russian leader reportedly expressed an interest in brokering peace. In a recent appearance on CBS's Face the Nation, Rubio noted, "We have a long ways to go before any substantial talks can commence regarding the resolution of the Russia-Ukraine war," emphasizing that nothing has been finalized about the anticipated meetings between U.S. and Russian officials in Riyadh. The Secretary of State, who had earlier met with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, underscored the complexity of the situation in Ukraine. He remarked, "One phone call does not solve a war as complex as this one," while acknowledging the necessity for concrete actions to follow diplomatic overtures. The urgency of the situation is palpable, with Rubio indicating that the next few weeks will be critical in determining whether negotiations will bear fruit. Rubio is not alone in this diplomatic endeavor. He is accompanied by National Security Advisor Mike Waltz and Steve Witkoff, Trump's Middle East envoy. Their joint mission reflects the administration's commitment to exploring avenues for peace, particularly in light of the escalating humanitarian crisis in Gaza and the protracted conflict in Ukraine. The discussions in Saudi Arabia are expected to touch on a variety of topics, including the potential role of other nations in facilitating peace talks. While the intent to engage in negotiations is clear, concerns linger regarding the structure of these talks. Retired Lieutenant General Keith Kellogg, the U.S. Special Envoy for Ukraine and Russia, hinted at the possibility of parallel negotiations, which could lead to Ukrainian and European officials feeling sidelined. Rubio acknowledged this complexity, stating that any real negotiations would need to involve Ukraine along with European partners to ensure that all voices are heard in the peace process. As the diplomatic landscape evolves, the implications of these talks extend beyond immediate conflict resolution. Should negotiations progress, they could redefine U.S. relations with both Russia and Ukraine, potentially stabilizing a region fraught with tension. However, as Rubio cautioned, it's a bit premature to speculate on the outcomes, as the path to peace remains fraught with challenges. Looking ahead, the international community will be watching closely as these discussions unfold in Riyadh. The interplay between U.S. diplomacy and the responses from Moscow and Kiev could shape not only the future of the Ukraine conflict but also broader geopolitical dynamics in the Middle East and beyond. The coming days will be telling as the world awaits concrete developments from this pivotal meeting. In recent weeks, the intersection of business and government has become increasingly complex, particularly with Elon Musk's burgeoning involvement in defense contracting and the implications it holds for oversight and accountability within the Pentagon. As Musk's businesses secure lucrative contracts with the Defense Department, concerns surrounding conflicts of interest and financial mismanagement have come to the forefront, particularly as the department grapples with an unwieldy accounting system and a staggering budget that has historically been plagued by inefficiencies. The backdrop to this situation is the Pentagon's $850 billion budget, which has long been criticized for its lack of transparency and oversight. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth recently emphasized the need for America to reaffirm its commitment to national security, contrasting sharply with remarks made by former President Donald Trump, who suggested slashing defense spending once tensions with global adversaries ease. This discord highlights the internal challenges faced by the Pentagon at a time when it is seeking to modernize its financial systems while ensuring funds are utilized effectively. Experts have pointed out that the Pentagon's accounting system has never passed an audit, raising alarm bells about potential waste and fraud. The Pentagon has spent more than $14 trillion since 9/11, with up to 50% going to defense contractors, noted Heidi Peltier, an economist specializing in defense budgets. The convoluted layers of contracting where prime contractors subcontract to smaller firms often obfuscate where taxpayer dollars are ultimately spent, creating opportunities for misappropriation. As Peltier explained, with each layer it becomes increasingly difficult to track the flow of money and ascertain whether it is being used for its intended purpose. Musk's role as a defense contractor complicates matters further. His companies, including SpaceX and Starlink, have secured significant contracts with the Pentagon, including a $150 million deal for launch systems and ongoing support for Ukraine's internet infrastructure. Critics have raised questions about whether his personal financial interests might influence government decisions, leading to an appearance of conflict. Todd Harrison, a senior fellow at the American Enterprise Institute, highlighted that such entanglements could undermine the integrity of oversight efforts. There already is the appearance of conflict of interest, he stated, emphasizing the need for clear boundaries between business and governmental roles. Amidst these concerns, the Pentagon's Office of the Inspector General plays a critical role in ensuring accountability. Historically, this office has recovered billions through investigations into fraud and waste, but its effectiveness has been hampered by recent political upheaval, including the dismissal of key inspectors by Trump. The current acting inspector general, while experienced, operates in a fraught environment where oversight and political motivations intersect, complicating the pursuit of transparency. Adding to the complexity, the Pentagon has been scrutinized for price gouging by defense contractors. With high-profile settlements, such as Lockheed Martin's recent $30 million lawsuit for overcharging, drawing attention to the systemic issues within military procurement processes. As defense spending continues to rise, the question remains whether Musk's involvement will bring heightened scrutiny or exacerbate existing problems. Looking ahead, the future implications of Musk's growing influence in defense contracting cannot be understated. With the Pentagon's push for audit readiness by 2028, significant reforms will be essential, including investment in modern accounting systems estimated to cost around $1 billion. As defense budget discussions evolve, the need for a clear and accountable framework for military spending becomes ever more critical, particularly as a new administration navigates the complexities of defense policy in a rapidly changing global landscape. Transparency and accountability will be paramount, not only for the integrity of the Defense Department but also for the American taxpayer who ultimately foots the bill for national security. In a notable shift in U.S. health policy, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has been sworn in as the Secretary of Health and Human Services (HHS) under the Trump administration. Confirmed by a narrow Senate vote of 52 to 48, Kennedy's appointment has sparked both enthusiasm and concern among various stakeholders, given his controversial views and the weight of the role he now occupies. His confirmation marks a significant moment in the intersection of health policy and political ideology, as Kennedy, a well-known figure in vaccine skepticism, now leads an agency pivotal to public health. Kennedy's immediate agenda includes a comprehensive review of commonly prescribed medications, particularly selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors (SSRIs), which he famously compared to heroin. At his confirmation hearing, Kennedy stated, "I know people, including members of my family, who've had a much worse time getting off of SSRIs than they have getting off of heroin." This statement, along with his claims linking SSRIs to violent behavior, has raised alarm among health professionals who cite extensive research supporting the efficacy and safety of these medications. In fact, studies including one from UCLA indicate that SSRIs have played a crucial role in reducing suicide rates. The scrutiny surrounding Kennedy extends beyond his views on antidepressants. His history of skepticism toward vaccines, including even those for diseases such as polio, raises questions about his approach to public health initiatives. A note of concern was echoed by Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell, who was one of the few Republican dissenters during the confirmation vote, indicating that skepticism is not limited to party lines. In a related development, the Trump administration has made significant cuts to the Food and Drug Administration (FDA), particularly affecting staff focused on food safety and medical devices. This move has drawn criticism from health advocates who fear it could compromise public safety during a time when regulatory oversight is crucial. Kennedy's confirmation was further complicated by partisan divides within the Senate. The Finance Committee, which voted along party lines to advance his nomination, highlighted the contentious nature of his confirmation process. Republican Senator Bill Cassidy, who initially expressed reservations about Kennedy, ultimately supported his nomination, underscoring the complex dynamics at play as party loyalty often supersedes individual concerns regarding policy implications. Looking ahead, Kennedy's mandate to investigate the risks associated with SSRIs and other mental health medications promises to stir further debate. While Kennedy aims to establish the Make America Healthy Again Commission, the implications of his investigation into SSRIs could lead to significant regulatory changes that might affect millions of Americans reliant on these medications for managing mental health issues. Health experts are bracing for potential shifts in policy that could challenge established medical practices. As Kennedy embarks on his new role, the health community watches closely. His statements and actions will likely shape the trajectory of U.S. healthcare policy, particularly in mental health treatment, amid a backdrop of heightened political scrutiny and public interest in health matters. The outcomes of his investigations and the subsequent policies enacted under his leadership will be critical as the nation navigates the complexities of public health in a politically charged environment. In a dramatic turn of events for the U.S. Justice Department, newly appointed Attorney General Pam Bondi has sparked controversy by seemingly intertwining politics with the agency's prosecutorial decisions. On her first day in office, Bondi pledged to restore the integrity and credibility of the Justice Department, asserting that it would operate free from political influence. However, less than a week into her tenure, actions taken by her administration have raised serious concerns about the politicization of justice under her leadership. The controversy erupted following the indictment of New York Mayor Eric Adams, who was facing corruption charges. Both Bondi's acting deputy attorney general issued directives that seemed to prioritize political expediency over legal ethics, stating that the administration needed Adams' cooperation in its crackdown on illegal immigration. In a striking correspondence, Bove noted that the decision to dismiss the charges was based not on the merits of the case but rather on the need to facilitate the administration's agenda. The pending prosecution has unduly restricted Mayor Adams' ability to devote full attention and resources to the illegal immigration and violent crime that has escalated under the policies of the prior administration, he wrote. This directive incited a rebellion within the Justice Department, leading to the resignation of 7 anti-corruption prosecutors, including Danielle Sassoon, the acting U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of New York. Sassoon, who described the dismissal as a quid pro quo, emphasized her commitment to impartiality in her resignation letter. It does not mean dismissing a case if it would be politically advantageous to the defendant or to those who appointed me, she asserted. The fallout from this incident has reverberated throughout the legal community. Critics, including members of Congress, have called for investigations into the department's conduct. Senator Richard Durbin, Democrat, Illinois, warned against the dangerous precedent set by such actions, arguing that the American people cannot afford to have the Department of Justice used as a tool for political gain. Legal analysts across the spectrum have voiced concerns about the long-term implications of this approach. Ed Whalen, a conservative legal commentator, described Sassoon's resignation as an act of courage and integrity, highlighting the potential damage to the Justice Department's reputation. A veteran prosecutor who spoke anonymously lamented that the agency's credibility could suffer irreparably, saying, "Good people interested in public service will no longer find a career at DOJ appealing." The current situation mirrors historical tensions between the political branches and the Justice Department. Echoing the infamous Saturday Night Massacre of the Nixon era, when top officials resigned rather than comply with politically motivated orders. Alberto Gonzales, who served as Attorney General under President George W. Bush, cautioned that the department's primary purpose is to uphold the law, impartially suggesting that the current trajectory undermines this principle. Amid the turmoil, Bondi has maintained that her administration is focused on returning the Justice Department to its core function of prosecuting dangerous criminals, distancing herself from allegations of politicization. However, her actions and the rhetoric of her chief of staff indicate a troubling willingness to dismiss cases based on political considerations. As the dust settles from these recent events, the question remains: what does the future hold for the independence of the Justice Department? With a growing number of resignations and rising tensions within the agency, the integrity of its operations may be at a critical juncture. Observers will be watching closely to see how Bondi navigates these challenges and whether the Justice Department can reclaim its commitment to impartial justice amid the political storm swirling around it. In a significant diplomatic exchange, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky recently found himself at the forefront of discussions concerning his country's vast mineral wealth and its geopolitical implications, during a visit to the United Arab Emirates. Zelensky addressed the pressing issue of repatriating Ukrainians from Russia while simultaneously navigating a complex negotiation landscape with the United States. The interplay of these discussions underscores the intertwined nature of humanitarian and economic considerations for Ukraine as it seeks to bolster its security and economic resilience in the face of ongoing conflict with Russia. At the heart of recent negotiations is a controversial proposal from the Trump administration that sought to acquire approximately 50% of Ukraine's mineral rights, which are believed to be worth several $1 trillion. This proposal, presented by U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent during his visit to Kyiv, was framed as a means for Ukraine to compensate the U.S. for its military support following Russia's invasion. "We are still talking," Zelensky remarked, indicating that while the discussions are ongoing, the terms of the proposal have not met Ukraine's expectations for long-term security guarantees. The U.S. proposal has drawn criticism from various Ukrainian officials, with some labeling it as colonial in nature. Zelensky has emphasized the necessity for a more formal binding agreement that would include clear security assurances from the U.S. and its European allies. He has not yet signed the proposal and is exploring alternative avenues to involve European nations in Ukraine's mineral extraction efforts. Ukraine's mineral reserves include essential materials such as lithium, titanium, and graphite, which are crucial for high-tech industries, particularly in the production of electric vehicles and smartphones. The Kyiv School of Economics estimates that Ukraine possesses deposits of 20 of the 50 critical raw materials required globally. This potential has generated interest from American investors who see opportunities for growth in Ukraine's underdeveloped minerals sector. However, the negotiations are not without challenges. Ukrainian officials have expressed concerns regarding the proposal's stipulation that disputes over mineral rights would be resolved under New York law, raising questions about enforceability and the lack of prior consultation. Zelensky's administration is seeking assurances that any agreement will not only enhance Ukraine's economic prospects but also solidify its security posture in the face of ongoing aggression from Russia. As the geopolitical landscape continues to evolve, the implications of these mineral negotiations extend beyond economic considerations. For the U.S., securing access to Ukraine's mineral resources could reduce dependency on China, viewed as a key adversary in the global marketplace. Conversely, for Ukraine, a favorable deal could provide the necessary capital and technological expertise to develop its mineral industry, paving the way for greater economic independence and resilience. Looking ahead, the upcoming week is poised to be crucial as European leaders convene for discussions aimed at resolving the conflict in Ukraine. The outcome of these negotiations could shape not only Ukraine's future but also the broader geopolitical dynamics in Europe. As both sides remain committed to finding common ground, the intersection of security and economic interests will undoubtedly play a pivotal role in determining the path forward for Ukraine amidst a backdrop of ongoing conflict and uncertainty. In a move that could significantly reshape the economic landscape of the United States, President Donald Trump has signed an executive order to establish a U.S. sovereign wealth fund, with Howard Lutnick positioned to play a pivotal role in its development. This decision not only highlights Trump's ongoing commitment to a more interventionist economic policy but also raises questions about the implications for the cryptocurrency market, particularly Bitcoin, and the broader landscape of U.S. trade policy. On February 3, 2025, the White House announced the creation of the Sovereign Wealth Fund, which aims to utilize national wealth for the benefit of all Americans. The initiative is designed to promote fiscal sustainability, alleviate the tax burden on families and small businesses, and bolster the U.S. economy's global leadership. Within 90 days, the Treasury and Commerce Secretaries are tasked with drafting a comprehensive plan that outlines the fund's structure, funding mechanisms, investment strategies, and management protocols. Howard Lutnick, a longtime ally of Trump and former CEO of Cantor Fitzgerald, is expected to be nominated as the Secretary of Commerce, potentially positioning him as a key architect of the fund. His influence is already being felt in the financial markets. Cantor Fitzgerald has reportedly increased its holdings in Strategy, a company known for its aggressive Bitcoin investments, by 20% this quarter. This surge has sparked speculation that Lutnick's anticipated role in the Sovereign Wealth Fund could provide insider insights that inform Cantor Fitzgerald's investment decisions, especially in the burgeoning crypto market. While the establishment of the Sovereign Wealth Fund is poised to create new economic opportunities, it also comes amid a backdrop of significant changes in U.S. trade policy. Trump's administration has initiated a series of reciprocal tariffs that threaten to upend decades of international trade norms. These tariffs, aimed at matching foreign countries' import taxes on U.S. goods, have been met with skepticism from economists who warn that such measures could exacerbate inflation and disrupt established supply chains. It disrupts the way that things have been done for a very long time, noted Richard Mojica, a trade attorney, indicating the chaotic environment these policies may create. At the same time, Lutnick has emphasized the administration's intention to strengthen U.S. technological leadership, particularly in artificial intelligence, while also suggesting that Canada and Mexico could avoid impending tariffs by tightening border controls against fentanyl trafficking. This nuanced approach reflects a broader strategy of leveraging trade negotiations to address multiple domestic and international issues concurrently. Critics of the administration's approach argue that such sweeping changes to tariff policies and the establishment of a sovereign wealth fund reflect a larger ideological battle against government programs that have enjoyed bipartisan support. The cuts to popular initiatives, particularly in environmental and educational sectors, are seen as efforts to dismantle the public's positive relationship with government institutions, thereby reshaping the political landscape. As the Sovereign Wealth Fund begins to take shape and the implications of reciprocal tariffs unfold, the intersection of these policies could lead to significant shifts in economic strategy and market dynamics. The potential for increased Bitcoin investments driven by both private and public sector interests underscores an evolving relationship between traditional finance and emerging cryptocurrency markets. Looking ahead, the actions taken by Lutnick and the Trump administration will be closely monitored, as they hold the potential to redefine not just U.S. economic policy but also the global financial architecture in a rapidly changing world. The coming months will reveal whether these bold initiatives will yield the promised benefits for American families and businesses or lead to unintended consequences that complicate the economic landscape further.